This is the Future Phenoms, tracking football's rising stars. I'm Andy, and I'm joined by Nino Brown and SC Romero. We have a jam-packed episode that we'll break down after the intro. SC, Nino, what's going on, guys?
It's good, man. Love that intro. Just I'm looking around in the beat props. I'm like, okay, we gotta get into it. Love it, love it.
It's about that time, you know what I mean? It's set the tone off right. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Episode 2. It seemed like the people liked episode 1. We got some views out there, so I'm excited to hop back in with you gentlemen and get after it.
All right, let's get right into our first segment. Names to watch for the 2024 college football season. SC, you're up first. Who's your first name?
Man, I'm gonna go with Grayson McCall. He's now at NC State. He gets that rising sophomore year guy in the Kevin Concepcion. They also got OSU wide receiver Noah Rogers transferred over there. McCall, through the last 4 years, has over 10,000 passing yards. He has an arm, has that strength. Feel his wide receivers hasn't necessarily been there, but now he gets 2 premium wide receivers. I'm excited to see this. It was a little bit of a downfall last year, but I'm excited to see what he can do with his arm. This is a great opportunity for him to rise his draft stock.
I love McCall. I think now that he's fully healthy, I know this last season he had a head injury where he missed a couple of games down the stretch there. The first 3 years of his career, man, he was the most prolific passer there was. He was so efficient. He was like 74.5% completion percentage over that course of that time. There was nobody better, and he has the big arm to air the ball out, and that scheme in Coastal Carolina works. So, last year was a step down. I thought he might have went to Auburn that year in the portal. Things didn't work out. I heard it was academics, whatever side it was, whatever. But I think he's in a good place right now in a good system with a lot of weapons that I don't know he necessarily has had. It's either he's had that top end guy or he had that twitch guy. He kind of has a little bit of everything right now. So I think this is a good hit. I think it's going to be a home run from McCall. Get his stock back up.
Yeah, that should be a fun player to watch. Nina, who's your first guy?
I'm going to go to Grayson. Give me Grayson Pup Howard, 4-star linebacker. He was a freshman last year for South Carolina, right? Which was odd to me, and a team that needed so much help at linebacker. Just couldn't really seem to get on the field as much as I had hoped for. Had 19 tackles, 10 solo, tackle for loss, and a forced fumble. He saw a little over 200 snaps, right? 4 pressures. He had a couple of run stops, but he's 6'4", 241 pounds, all right? And he's coming home. He's from Jacksonville. He's coming home to Florida. I think he's going to be an absolute huge run stopper in Billy Napier's defense. He was like a top 10 linebacker in his class. It just seemed like he fizzled out there in South Carolina. But I think he's a downhill guy, right? He's got 4.49 shuttle, so he's an athlete. Like this dude all around. I have a funny feeling he's going to kind of take over that Gator linebacker room, and he's going to be a dude with all the opportunity to blow up gaps and just cause havoc. So give me all Pup Howard.
Yeah, man, absolute dog. You mentioned he's going home. That's gonna, rise his morale just a little bit. Gets to play in front of his friends and family there. Junior year of his high school career had 157 tackles in 10 games. Dog. He's just a pure tackler. And the beautiful thing about it is he tracks the ball well. Not necessarily to go and tackle it, but he's aware of when it's a pass and he intercepts it. He had 17 tackles for loss that same junior year in 10 games. Absolute guy. When he gets that hole, he can explode straight past you. So I think this is a very good move for him. Like you said, South Carolina kind of just dropped his stock there, but going back home, get an opportunity, he's going to see the field. I'm excited to see it.
188 tackles as a senior in 11 games. 106 of them was solo, bro. Like, put him on an island. It don't matter who's coming out of that backfield. Wide receiver, tight end, running back, fullback, quarterback. He's eating. I mean, and the fact that he had 3 visits to Florida before he committed to South Carolina, that speaks volumes. I think this kid's going to be locked and loaded and ready to go.
SC, who's your next guy?
Man, I'm going with one of my linebackers. That's going to be Texas linebacker Anthony Hill Jr. Talk about absolute dog. He's getting the spotlight now that Jalen Ford is gone. He also didn't work with Overshown, but we're seeing these linebackers from Texas just come out and be the beast. And I really believe Anthony Hill Jr. is that next guy, just a hard-hitting guy, and he attacks with like just straight velocity. I mean, he's going right after the runner in the backfield, getting to them. He's aware. He knows how to move around the defenders. Everything I saw in this kid last year, freshman, by the way, just says he's gonna be the next Texas linebacker that just shoots up in the draft boards.
You don't need me to say nothing about Hill, bro. I mean, the fact that a true freshman started in Steve Sarkisian's system, we all know true freshmen don't start in Shock or Nick Saban's system. They have to wait, right? And this year you had Baxter and Hill on both sides of the ball there start and get time. So the kid played every single game, and as the season went on, they were giving him more and more. He is a future green dot wearer in the NFL. This kid, and I have a funny feeling you're going to see the ascension of Hill this year.
At times, he was playing better than Jalen Ford too.
He was
middle
of the season. Great, he was a dude.
Yeah.
Now, Nina, who's your next guy that you want to talk about?
I kind of had a lot of hope for, because when I hear 6'4", 270 pounds as a tight end, I'm like, whoa, all right, this is just a legitimate red zone target, a dude that can just eat for you. Nobody, he can out muscle you, out physical you, contested catch guy, right? Jalen Connors, transferred from Arizona State. Now he's at Texas Tech. You're in a Zach Kittley offense that was stripped down bare with talent, right? You're looking at the quarterback possession. It's either gonna be Beecher Morton, or possibly the gunslinger, true freshman Will Hammond. We'll have to see how that spring goes, right? But I mean, in 2 years, he had 68 receptions, close to 800 yards, 1 touchdown. How? Somebody explain it to me like I'm 5. How does a guy at 6'4", 270 pounds, who can play in line and shuffle off the line and catch balls with good, how does he not have at least 8 touchdowns in 2 seasons for the Sun Devils? It doesn't even make sense. But opportunity arises, and I think this is going to work out from this year. They're bringing Josh Kelly, right, from Washington State. That's a field stretcher. They also bring in Caleb Douglas from Florida. He's a guy who can also cause separation and stretch the field as well. So it's going to give him a lot of opportunities underneath, right? And he's going to probably stay on the block a little bit till they figure out what's going on. But the sliding, the late passes, when linebackers blitz the hole, the edge guy gets around, he can slide off and get them dunking things and turn those into, 6, 7, 8 yards. It's all going to rely on the QB, but I think he's in a prime situation at Texas Tech to have a career year.
Yeah, man, you said you let him, he let you down, right? I mean, it's because sophomore season, over 400 yards and 5 touchdowns, and then the following season, just nothing. Like, it just kind of disappeared. So the measurables are there, the talent is there. He's someone that can go after the ball. He has good receiving skills. I think this is a possible blow up for him, as far as a bounce back, at least,
exactly.
Maybe over 500-600 yards around there with about 30-40 catches or so. He needs that, though. I think this is great measurables, and when you see that and then not translate well, it's like, man, you got to chalk it up, you're out. You know what I mean? So
new head coach in Arizona State in his first year, so it's gonna be a new offensive scheme. You went through 3 quarterbacks, one was a rookie, one was a transfer. There was a lot going on there, a lot of moving pieces. Your number 1 receiver came over from Colorado, Jordan Tyson. He was hurt, didn't even play till like week 8. So there was a lot of variables there. Some want to say excuses, whatever it may be. I think right now he's set up to succeed in this upcoming season.
And SC, who's your final guy you want to talk about?
That's going to be wide receiver Kobe Young, now at Georgia. Now, he's here 6'3", 6'5", 6'4". I've seen it everywhere. We can't trust it until it gets to the Senior Bowl or Combine, right? So he's big is the main point there. He's a guy that a strong, fast receiver, and I think this is something that is going to be great for Carson Beck, just in that offense in general. And they also have Trevor Etienne. This is a kid that gets physical. He does have some stiff movement. I want to see a little bit more fluidity in it, but yeah, it's still going to be kind of reminiscent to that rugged Georgia offense that we have seen sometimes, maybe a more stronger running team, but then you still have this dog on the outside in Kobe Young, just there to get Carson Beck out of tight situations. Throw it up, man. He can catch those high point balls.
I liked Young in Miami. I don't don't know if Georgia is really the spot for him. Every single year, probably for the past 4 or 5 years, they've tried to go after this big kid, right? The kid that can stretch the field, can fizz. Dominic Lovett didn't pan out the previous year before that. Pickens really didn't pan out until like the last 4 or 5 games of the season and then the playoffs. So it's like, I don't know. Georgia and that big alpha outside guy doesn't usually work out. And maybe this will be the year. Maybe he can have an AD Mitchell type season, but then AD Mitchell really didn't have much of a year until the latter half of that season. So it's like he's got the talent. I love what I've seen this year on tape. It can Beck spread around. I was hoping, with Bauer's gone, there'd be more targets, but then they go and bring in Urasek and they have Delp. So it's like they're probably going to run a 2 tight end set, and that's going to be easy targets to take away from him. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. I like the kid. I just don't know if the landing spot is the best for him, especially with Humphreys being there as well. That kid's going to take up so many targets underneath.
And they still have Pierce Sperling there too, don't they?
Yeah,
and Luck.
And Luke. They did bring in Trevor. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, they got, and that's the beauty about Georgia though. They have so much talent all around. I think just you hope to see the tougher competition raise how he plays the game as well. So I think Carson Beck has a huge step up. He was looking great last year, and I think we're going to see a reminiscence of just him improving too.
Yeah.
Now, Nino, who's your last guy you want to talk about?
I want to talk about a guy going into a team that SC, spoke about the kid that was leaving UNLV and joined Miami last week. I'm going to talk about the kid coming in, Matthew Sluka. Right, many people might not know who he is. He was the Holy Cross quarterback, and Holy Cross. Listen, I watched him live against BC, and he was electric. You're talking about 3,100 total yards, 1,200 on the ground, right? Almost 30 touchdowns. He had 5 interceptions, 20 passing, only 5 interceptions for a guy who's mostly, a running QB. Now you're bringing him in, right, to a system that's up tempo, likes to spread it out, likes to run the ball. Brennan Marion's system, he's probably one of the top young OCs in college football as it is, right? You got Ricky White on the outside. You got my guy Jaden Thomas in the backfield. Thomas and Sluka, bro, it's going to be very difficult for that linebacker, that safety to stay home and trust which one he's going to go. They run an RPO. If they run any kind of slight RPO system, God bless. I think Sluka's just going to may not have better numbers, than he had at Holy Cross because it was a smaller program, but I think this is going to be a place where he's going to get a lot of eyes on him, and he could have similar numbers and just take off. He could be that hot. He could have a better, season than the guy before him.
Yeah, man. I mean, you didn't really go into the wheels this kid has. I mean, this guy, he gets in that open field and he's gone. Yep. But last season over 1,200 yards. The season before that over 1,200 yards rushing. The accuracy will be something there. He's not the picture perfect passer. He does have over 4,000 yards last season, I do believe, but still someone that is a nice dual threat quarterback, and I think that's going to change the game there for him to just be able to escape that pressure. And as I mentioned earlier, just those wheels, man. He takes off, he looks like Sonic. That boy's on the move, and you're not catching it. So I love what I see. You always love that in the dual threat quarterbacks. Now I just want to see that precision come down a little bit, for him to be more focused and gain the ball out, so we can say, okay, he has the quarterback weapons as well that he can use on his arm straight, stuff like that. But I mean, this kid, he can shock the world with what he does.
I mean, he had Jalen Cocker last year on the outside, who was an absolute stud, right? And now he has Ricky White. I think Ricky White will make up for whatever passing deficiencies that Sluka has early off until he gets comfortable. I just with Odom and Brennan Marion's system, I think that kid is just going to take off.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some names to know and write down for your CFF, C2C, and IDP leagues. Now we're off to our next segment. This is called This or That. For this segment, we'll be looking at a 2023 NFL rookie versus a 2024 NFL rookie, and who would we rather have? First guy on the docket, Dontavian Wicks versus Brandon Rice. SC, you're up first.
Oh, okay. Who would I rather have? Man, I really was impressed with Jordan Love this season, right? And off of talent, Brendan Rice impressed me during the Senior Bowl. Shout out Nina. I was seeing a couple highlights you were posting that when you were out there. But he seemed to actually be an actual receiver. When he was at USC, I was just saying, man, he's just a straight line guy. That's all he's doing. But I was seeing some good fluid route running. I was seeing him get some separation. I enjoyed that. Talent, I want to go Brendan Rice, but Jordan Love really stepped up this year, and I think that improved what a lot of people thought in Dontavian Weeks either. He was just a great asset to him. I love his physicality to the game as well, but for me, I'm out to go the rookie Brendan Rice.
Okay. Again, I said last week there are times this show is made for what this is about, button heads. Listen, they're both literally like kind of similar to each other, right? Both bigger receivers, both with yards per catch past 15 coming out of college. Like everything they do is downfield. They're physical. They do well with contested catches. But for me, it's always the thing that's proven at the next level to the thing that's got the question, right? And Wicks was the biggest question in Green Bay out of everybody, right? And I think, to be honest with you, Wicks and Bo Melton, who were the biggest question marks, came in and had the absolute best like performances out of everybody because they weren't expected. Wicks was a guy they counted on down the stretch that was not the name in that top three wide receiver room. And Jordan Love loved him and found him multiple times. Even in the playoffs. Now, this kid was trusted enough in the playoffs. You got your quarterback's trust. You got a rapport with him. You have a rhythm. You've done it at the next level. You understand the speed and the playbook of what the NFL is. This kid's coming out of USC. Lincoln Riley is a QB-friendly, coach. I don't know if that playbook's extensive, but I'm going to tell you, when he gets to Green Bay, he's going to see some concepts and some schemes and things he's never seen before. Wicks was able to jump in year one and excel. So give me Wicks as the first this or that.
All right, the next one, Zay Flowers versus Xavier Worthy. Nino, you're up first.
And this is another one where it's very, very similar. I think Zay might have a little more twitch, but these guys are really twitchy at the line of scrimmage, right? You can dress you off 2-3 moves. Sometimes they might be overly twitchy and screw themselves in the open field. Just got to commit to one move instead of making 6, right? But with Zay, a lot of Zay's plays where he caught the ball and then took off, right? And with Worthy, he's able to catch balls downfield. He's more of a deep ball threat. My only concern there is I want to say, Worthy, because of the competition where he's played, the Big 12 and all that, he has issues with drops, and it's been back-to-back years where he's had issues with the hands. Zay Flowers has no issues with hands. And again, you're talking about proven. He ended up being the wide receiver one for them once Mark Andrews went down and was trusted by his quarterback who wanted him off the rip. I'm going to have to go with Zay Flowers here just because the drops are a major concern for me. Something like that is really hard to change at the next level, especially when it's done consecutively. You're not breaking the thing you're doing all the time. And again, the proven guy at the next level, especially when he rose, gained a lot of stock. People said he was overhyped, went earlier than expected, but yet performed almost 900 yards, performed to the level of his draft stock. So give me Zay Flowers.
I mean, I think you bring a very valid argument, but I'm going to go ahead and say Worthy then, just because of, like you mentioned, that speed, man. He's not going to be one of your top receivers, but he's going to be going towards that back end of the first round. He's still a first-round pick, still made the moves he needed to as a playmaker. The thing I like about Zay is he plays bigger than he is, and that's something I said when I was watching him at Boston College. He's a small wide receiver, but he plays like he's 6'4". Xavier Worthy uses that speed almost as similarly as you would see a heel to get ahead of his opponents, to make the cuts and to get that separation. And for that reason, I think he's going to be, if not an excellent slot for these quarterbacks, and he's just going to be the target hog. Zay had 108 receptions, I think, or targets this past season. I think we're going to see something similar from Xavier Worthy, and he's just not going to be the wide receiver one yet because there might be someone ahead of him, but he's going to become a QB-friendly target. It's just the way he gets so far ahead down the stream, and that's something we see in today's NFL is just that air raid offense, right? So I think Worthy's fitting right in.
The thing with Flowers, I love the fact that he added the 12 pounds of muscle, knowing at the next level he would get thrown around by DBs like a Witherspoon, or Julian Love, or guys like that. You get down and just get physical. Is Worthy going to be able to add some weight and still keep that speed? Because he's going to have to add weight, or he is going to get thrown around at the line of scrimmage by any remotely DB in the NFL.
Yeah.
That was our this or that segment. Now let's get right into our next one, our 5-statement segment. First statement: incoming true freshman Micah Hudson will have 750 receiving yards this year. Nino, you're up first.
You can book that, take it to the bank, whatever you want to do. 700 plus receiving yards, probably going to get like 7 touchdowns as well. Like I said earlier, I didn't mention him when I was talking Texas Tech because I knew this was coming up. He is that room, that whole offense was ripped down, rated, stripped bare. New faces, a lot of talent coming in. I think this kid screams alpha, right? Give me the ball. I can do it at any phase, short, intermediate, deep. He can play outside. He can play inside. They're going to find ways to get this kid the ball early and often. And the fact that now you have a big tight end that can kind of, shadow, you can run schemes where where Connors is underneath and you lose Hudson behind him. Next thing you know, he's 3 yards downfield, wide open with nobody because you lost him. So I think he's going to have it. I think he's going to be wide receiver. There's a good chance he's wide receiver 1 in this class at the end of the season.
Man, that's I love everything. I love everything about Micah Hudson. I mean, the way he has this great body control when he's in the air, how he can shift his body around. He has nice hip movement, all that kind of stuff to make the adjustments on the dime to make the catch. That's something that's going to excel him. And as Nino said, become that alpha. As far as 750 yards, I mean, it becomes a quarterback issue for me. Is there going to be a legitimate quarterback throwing him the ball there? So for that, I'm going to say no, that he's not going to hit those 750 yards, but it's not going to be on him. It's going to be just that there's not going to be a competent quarterback getting him that ball. But in general, I mean, we've seen these freshmen transfer out right after that freshman year. This is something that I'm keeping my eye on, see if he does stay at Texas Tech or see if he does have a good season, maybe some receptions, 600, 650 yards or so, and then he ends up transferring out. But, I mean, everything I love about this kid on tape is everything you want to see in a pro, and he's only going to be a freshman.
Get Will Hammer the start before week 4, and Micah Hudson will get you 700 yards with no problem. And we'll be coming back the next year because Will Hammond is a guy.
Statement number 2. By the end of the 2024 college football season, Jadon Blue will be the best Texas running back. SC, you're up first.
I had to watch both these guys tape, man, because Jadon Blue, he didn't play a lot of the season. He had got hurt, then he didn't play. Then Brooks went down, then he came in. He looked great, but I think it's Baxter's backfield. I think Baxter is just that dog that you want to see from high school all the way till now. He's showing that. He even showed last year that he can get the rock. He can produce. He has that agility plus that speed. He knows how to break his cuts. Everything I love about Baxter is just that little more over Jadon Blue. Jadon Blue's still great, and I think he has his games, but I think it's Baxter's backfield.
I was so in on Jadon Blue coming out of high school. He was like my Mario Williams at the running back position, right? Like super talented, had all the stars, checked all the boxes, could receive, can run between the tackles, has the speed to get outside, like shifty, all of it, can get small, right? Can run you over if necessary. We've seen that 3 out of the last 5 games last season, and again, in the playoff. We've also seen Robinson come through and do his thing, right? And he was a third stringer. We also seen, Baxter in limited time, limited snaps come in and do his thing. Baxter's a 5-star. Top 2 in the class. I know Blue was a top 5 in his class when he came out, but fell off quickly. Baxter got snaps. It was schemed up snaps for him. Where there was Brooks, right? Where there was it was loaded. The whole backfield coming back this year is still there, except for Brooks. So there was 4 guys totally in that backfield. Everybody was getting snaps, and he couldn't just separate himself. I would have loved him to do that. You might get all that hype in the spring because that's just like something that Shock wants to put out there for smoke. Baxter will be the best back in Texas' backfield by the end of the season.
Statement number 3. 2025 LSU commit quarterback Bryce Underwood will be a better college prospect than Caleb Williams and Trevor Lawrence. Nino, you're up first.
Bro, consensus 1 on every board. Earliest 5-star QB probably in the last 10 years, right? 40 touchdowns and 2 interceptions as a junior. Man, I mean, if you just looked at stats and you didn't look at film or anything, you look at film, he's got it too. It's hard to say without taking a single snap, right? Or even that he's going to be a better Caleb Williams. You got to remember, he was willing to walk on. So it's not even Caleb that I'm talking about. Trevor Lawrence as a prospect was You drooled at the film. You drooled. Everybody was knocking at that door to get him. You know what I mean? And he was labeled one of those generational talents, right? I haven't heard it yet from Underwood. I heard there's a chance that he could be that guy. I just don't know. For that reason, I'm gonna have to go with Trevor Lawrence. What the buzz around him was just absolutely crazy. He could do everything at such a young age, and any school knew getting him changed your program and your future for the next 3 to 4 years. So I'd have to say no, he won't be a better prospect than Trevor Lawrence.
Love this show, right? Because we don't know what we're gonna say until we actually hear it from each other. So this is good. No, man, he is. I mean, this kid, he's winner all over him. Since his freshman season, he's took his team to state. You know, I mean, he has that deep ball accuracy. The best part about it, in high school, things change in college, right? But he played both sides of the ball. He was also playing on the defense as well. So he understands how the defense needs to work as well. And now transferring that over to his quarterback, he has that IQ for the game. This kid is going to be phenomenal. 120 touchdowns, 7 interceptions throughout high school. Just pure accuracy. Granted, he's going to the SEC. And that's, of course, right now I'm saying yes, because if he does everything he did in high school in the SEC at LSU, I'm taking that over Caleb and over Trevor Lawrence, who is in the ACC, and now you have in the Pac-12, right? So he's gonna be tested for sure, and I think that's the first game that he's actually tested is the game that we're gonna see. If he throws his first interception in week 1, how does he come out the next drive? Does he come out and play like, all right, I just forget about it, or does he come out and he's like, man, this is the SEC, it's way different, right? So for that reason, I say, yeah, man, this kid has everything about it. Generational talent, we hear that every year. That's just, that hype around it. They're generational talent stuff. I feel they're saying the same thing about Caleb now too, and it's like,
you don't think he's a generational talent?
I mean, they said that about Trevor Lawrence. Right now, Trevor Lawrence hasn't done anything at that next level, right? But what's he done for Jacksonville?
He hasn't done anything. Nothing. He brought a team. You don't think Jacksonville got better when he got there? They made it to the playoffs, right? Back-to-back seasons. They were nobody. They were trapped.
Yeah, for sure.
They're one game away from the playoff. Yeah, he had his worst season as a pro, but we're gonna take 1 out of 3 and say that generational thing was no good.
CJ Stroud came in and just took that division, though.
So we take the outlier now. That's what we're doing. The outlier, and we're gonna flip the whole
no, I mean,
CJ Stroud, when did it happen?
Yeah, it's true. So you have the next one up already, right? So I don't know if he comes in and just makes that. This was better, arguably the better wide receiver core that he's had since he's been there, and he didn't do anything with it.
Well, yeah, Kirk was gone half season. Zay Jones only played a quarter. This fact is,
Yeah, for sure. And then there's Calvin Ridley, who was supposed to be the hype man, but I guess being out a couple seasons.
2 years.
Yeah. So, okay. We can see.
And thinking that Trevor Lawrence in the ACC, I'm pretty sure Trevor Lawrence beat some SEC defenses when they went on their run for 2 years. Yeah. So, I mean, ACC is where he was at home, but he played the big dogs and won.
All right, bonus here. This isn't on the show sheet. If Caleb Williams goes to the Bears and they have DJ Moore as the wide receiver and Cole Kmet, and say, for example, they get a Roma Dunze or Malik Neighbors at the 8 spot, or Trevor Lawrence with his crew, with what he has, and say the Jaguars get another receiver to replace Ridley, who's probably on the same tier, if not better. Who would you take? Trevor Lawrence with the Jags and what they have in a new wide receiver weapon, or Caleb Williams with the Bears? SC, you're first.
In that case, though, I think I say Trevor Lawrence, just because he's been with that offense, right? I mean, he understands how that offense runs, so it's gonna run straight through him. Sure, it's gonna run through Caleb as well, but he already has adaptation to it, and we're gonna see those growing pains through Caleb. So in that case, I think I gotta go with Trevor, especially if Kirk does come back healthy. Because you're right, that's a big factor for it. Zay Jones, I think he's great when he's on the field, but he gets hurt. So, I mean, I think Christian Kirk was the big factor there because he missed him. We saw that downfall.
I'm going to agree with SC. My thing with that is organization blows. They can't figure it out. They haven't been able to figure it out. And he's not good with pressure, or at least he hasn't been for a season and a half, okay? last year was terrible with pressure. And towards the latter end of the season before that, when he won the Heisman, those last 2-3 games, he wasn't really good when the pressure came on. So, and then you're going to go to a new, to a team that's got the first pick for a reason, right? Like they're up there for a reason. They need help on the front end. They didn't help the guy before them. There's all these rumors that you didn't want to even go there. Give me Trevor Lawrence and Malik Neighbors or Romeo Odunze, every single Sunday of the week.
If they go Trevor Lawrence and then go out there and get a lineman with that next top 10 pick they have, and then go get a wide receiver in the second, let's just say like a
Johnny Wilson.
Maybe a Wilson. I would say maybe a Brian Wilson or Brian Thomas. Maybe they slide down or try to trade up in the back of the first.
Maybe,
but yeah, okay. You say Johnny Wilson, just someone that can be that stress. Then maybe we're talking, but that's also a factor. It feels like if he goes to Chicago, he's gonna be in that similar stance that he was at UFC, where the defense wasn't holding it down, and then he was getting a lot of pressure, and it just caused him to run that game up.
They made pieces on the defensive side to get better, right? Got Sweat. Got the 2 veteran linebackers last year who played well, lived up to the contract. Sweat's got 1 more year on his deal, right? Yeah. So, like, some of the moves they make seem like they're going to try to go and get Caleb, right? But, like, you could get a wide receiver in the second round, right? I saw a mock draft today from my guy Shane Hallam saying that they might – what if they took Alt at 1 and took Odunze at 8? And kept Fields. Now you got, you're anchoring that front line for Fields, and you're giving another weapon with him. I don't know. There's a lot of options, but I think if you got Trevor, even if you got him Alt or Fashanu or someone like that up front to protect the shit out of him, keep him upright, less injury prone. Yeah, I'm still riding the Trevor Lawrence train.
If you one thing I will say, if Caleb is going to the Bears though at that 101, you can possibly trade that 101 and get Trevor Lawrence, and I would do that.
Plus, Trevor Lawrence plus, yeah.
That rookie draft.
All right, statement number 4. Incoming true freshman quarterback Damon Williams will take over as the starter for the University of Washington in 2024. SC, you're up first.
Man, Damon Williams is a very small player. He's nice and twitchy. He knows how to escape. He looks like someone that's not necessarily going to be that quarterback. He does have that precision, but they're also getting DeMarcus Davis from Rancho Cucamonga, a guy that's tall, lengthy, improved year over year, and showed that. I think it's going to be a very nice QB battle. But I think we might see DeMarcus Davis get that over there. That size difference is going to play a factor. He was very nice, very speedy, but I don't know if that's going to be the cup of tea Washington is looking for this year.
Yo, did Will Rogers die?
He's not good.
They went and got him, right? They pursued him, and Jed Fesh didn't tell him to go kick rocks, bro. Like he's still there. He's definitely going to be the starter. And if they go with any type of Arizona scheme where it's kind of up tempo, spread it out, I mean that's got to be somewhat of a mini modified air raid system that he's used to at Mississippi State, right? Like they ain't got no weapons, bro. So the best way to start the season, at least, is to go with Rodgers, with a guy who knows how to run the ball, not run the offense. Now, maybe by the end of the year, he could take over because just by default. But I don't think Rodgers stood there when he had the opportunity to take his chance to go to Bama right in the portal, or take his chance to go to these later schools and go start somewhere else, and just said, I'm gonna stick it out here. Fish and them guys didn't say, hey, you're gonna be the guy for at least the start of the season. I don't know where we're going to go after that, but it's very young behind him. So Jed Fish just want to go into a new conference on his first year at Washington and get smoked because he went with a true freshman, right? Like or a freshman quarterback. So I have a funny feeling Rodgers is going to be the guy for most of the year. Maybe not the bowl game, but I think Rodgers is the QB for the Huskies for most of the season.
Statement number 5. Georgia running back Roderick Robinson will take over that running back room. Nino, you're up first.
No, that's a hard no. They did. ETN ain't going to that school without being RB1, bro. He could have went anywhere in the country. It didn't. He could have went to Ohio State before Judkins went there, and they would have said, "Yes, sir. Come on. Where is the papers? What is the amount of money you want? We will give it to you." There is no way, and I know that Roderick Robinson and Branson Robinson are all 4- and 5-star running backs, and so is Andrew Paul. But the problem is, them MFers can't stay healthy from the waist down. They're cool, but big muscular dudes who can run you the hell over and put their foot in the ground. But if you can't get uniform on every game, it doesn't matter. ETN is that guy. He is him. He can catch the ball at the backfield. He can run between the tackles. He can run zone. He can run gap. It does not matter for him. He is the answer at all boxes that you need to check at running back. He is RB1 for all and every game, barring injury, for the Georgia Bulldogs.
Man, I don't even think I need to say anything because he took everything out of my mouth. But no, that's 100% correct. I mean, ETN went there for a reason. And this is the excitement to go and see, okay, this is your time to take over that work role, be that workhorse back that you say you can be, and let's see him dominate. I didn't understand whenever him and Montreal were sharing the field. He's 10 times better than the running back that Montreal was, and I just don't get why you even brought him in. I hope they do that. But you brought up too Branson Robinson. He can't stay healthy or worth a damn right now. But man, if he is, I promise, guys, he is him. You know what I mean? So that, to me, if Branson Robinson's healthy, he's even RB2. And then you go Roderick. Roderick stepped up when he had to, but he was behind him already. And then you have a Thunder and Lightning right there with ETN and Branson. I mean, Branson's big boy, squatting 700 pounds, was similar to Nick Chubb in that running style, that pure runner, just straight through the tackles. And then you have ETN that can bounce it outside. ETN is the guy, and then again, Branson Robinson healthy. I'm taking him all day too as RB2.
For some reason, Georgia loves Andrew Paul. Like, loves him. Like
nice.
I think they rushed him back off the first injury a little bit too early, which caused him to get injured 3 weeks later and re-injure again. Like, I know he's nice, but look at that room. You don't need to rush a guy back like that. Like, you could have ran Roderick Robinson this year when everybody got hurt earlier than waiting so long down the season to run him. Don't push these guys back, man. You got 4 and 5 stars lined up all the way down. It's like a laundry list of running backs. It's been like that for 8 to 10 years. So just let the next man eat, bro.
Right. And you don't want to get that bad rep of resting them back. So then it's like, okay, no one's going to commit to you in the future, right? Because you have a good commitment right now. So keep giving.
We're looking at 4 years in a row where Georgia Bulldogs running backs going down with some kind of knee injury, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly.
So UCLA hires Deshaun Foster, who has no coordinating experience and no real legitimate assistant coaching experience. He's only been a position coach. Bonus statement: UCLA is just the West Coast version of Rutgers. SC, you're up first.
I mean, I think it's fair because it seems for the past couple of years, UCLA's had the talent there as Rutgers does, and they just don't come through. They just, whatever it may be, defense, offense, they don't. It's like no one's on the same page whenever they're running. At times, they have their flashes of success, and they look great, and it's like, man, this is a team we got to watch. And then the exact following week, we're seeing something like, man, this is not happening at all. So I agree with that, just in the sense that they are not making do with what they have. They are struggling, and Rutgers does the same thing.
Not so much. This was a tough one because I liked how you had it the first time. All right, and then you throw me a curveball because I think the way you put it the first time
was it better the first time?
I feel like that was 100% true. Like 100% true. Only reason why I feel different is because I feel like Rutgers has already established themselves on the turnaround with Greg Schiano, right? They got a legitimate defense that has grown every year. They got a run game in what is his name? Managawu, who had 1,000 yards. Kyle Managawu on the ground, right? So, like, you look at UCLA, run game's good, right? They got a guy on the outside. It's kind of like okay. Their defense is usually kind of crap. They have an edge rusher and a cornerback. Rutgers, edge rusher and a cornerback, usually a good in that scheme. The only thing is Rutgers is better. They're not in financial problems. Okay, they're not $23 million in the hole with the athletic department like UCLA is. And Deshaun Foster was this is one of those falling shit smelling like a rose type deal. I think like because you're so in the hole and PJ Fleck, please, bro. Like they weren't coming to you. You make too much money. They don't have the money to give it to you. All these coaches don't want to be relevant again and they just throwing their name in the hat when it was open opportunity. There was nobody that was going to take that job for that money, right? But you kept an in-house guy that the players liked, who can probably fix a shitty situation, right? Who's been there and it was a guy who has no coaching experience. He just got hired to be the running back coach for the Raiders. So no coach experience or not. The NFL said, yo, I want you, bro. And he only played 6 years in the NFL. To me, that speaks a little bit of volumes. You know what I mean? Like on a squad led by Antonio Pierce, who only wants dogs. Like there is a good chance you could see a mini prime movement at UCLA under Foster. I'm not saying they're going to go out and win 10 like they thought Colorado was because they won the first 2, right? But there's a chance you could get 6 games out of UCLA when everybody's thinking 3's the max, right? And if God forbid they go bowling under Foster and TJ Harden goes for over 1,000 yards, watch out because people are going to want to pluck him and they're going to try to pluck him quickly.
And then for those that want to know the initial statement that I put down on the show sheet is that UCLA is just the West Coast version of Northwestern, but I thought that was a little too harsh, so I changed it to Rutgers.
I think that's more of hitting on the head, bro. Like you constantly switch, you can't see either coaching change, right? Or Pat Fitzgerald's been there for a long time, and then there's an issue, right? Chip Kelly was there for a long time, he had an issue, didn't want to recruit no more. Like so, it's like I feel like they kind of lined up. And they can never get over that hump. They get to a certain spot, and then they're just content.
So that was the bonus statement. Our next segment, 2024 NFL rookies to think about. Nino, you're up first.
All right. So in this modern-day NFL, we start to see it's more of not as many Nick Chubbs and more of those 2 RB rooms, right? You know, the guys that – will split it down the middle, like, 55, 45, or even 50, 50, but right around that room. They get one guy that's that banger, one guy that's that pass catcher, or one guy, is that electric, home run hitter. For me, I think Jawad Jordan out of Louisville, I think is a guy that we need to watch. He could be a later, maybe a 4th round pick in the running back department. But look at a guy who ripped off almost 900 yards, missed a few games due to injury. And he had 12 touchdowns, right? He just like multiple long 80-yard runs, 70-yard runs. Like he had big long runs. Not afraid to run between the tackles for a guy that's not the biggest dude coming out the backfield, but he's got speed. He's shifty enough. I think it's a compliment back to someone say, a bigger back out there. Like they wanted to keep Dameon Pierce for some reason in Houston. They went out and got a Jawad Jordan. Now we're talking thunder and lightning, right? You could run Pierce. Bang, bang, bang for that short yardage. And then here you come on 3rd down on a play action. And this kid just goes crazy. You want to talk Sonic the Hedgehog. He's coming out the backfield like Knuckles, dude, and just taking it deep. So, I think Jawad Jordan is a guy that need to watch out for. People really don't know about him coming out of Louisville. But when he tests, watch out. Like the pro day, that speed, the way, the hands, that's an added bonus to him. I think this kid's going to be opening a lot of GM's eyes.
Yeah, I agree. I like him a lot. He's one of your smaller backs, but I think we're transitioning over to think about Kyron Williams, Devin Alchin, James Cook, all these guys that are showing that versatility as far as running up the tackles or not being afraid to, even though they're a little bit undersized in what we consider those prototypical running backs. But then he can also break it out outside, and he has the hands, the soft hands, to become that guy that just hits it out on the flat route. He's not afraid to go after and pick up the blitz either. 4th, well, that might be a little bit too high for me. I think more 5th, 6th maybe, just because the draft is so deep as far as talent, right? So, but I do like him, and I think a team is going to walk away with him, and if they use him right, you're going to get a steal in the draft.
I say they overvalued a lot in this draft because I have a funny feeling teams are going to package a bunch of 6th and 7th or 5th and 6th together to go up in the 4th and get guys, right? So I feel like
that's fair.
He may have gone at the back end of the 5th or the early 6th, but with the way how it's worked out when everybody's, in this return in an NIL money, I feel like, I'll give you a 5th and a 6th, go up back end of the 4th to get a guy that they think that they could, hit a home run with. Like, even if you put him with Swift on the Eagles, like, man, this is a guy that could just be electric and another weapon in short yardage situations for a mobile quarterback. So I agree with you. Like where he would go normally, but I just think with this year, I think he could climb up in that back end of the 4th.
Fair.
And then SC, who's your guy you want to talk about?
Man, talk about another just speedy guy. That's gonna be a nice Smith from A&M wide receiver. Just has that field vision, has that breakaway speed, and we've talked about here. Nino's mentioned it a couple times already. I've said it a couple times already. That twitch. He has that twitch mobility. Once he gets the ball in his hands, he knows what to do. The one thing I worry about Anaya Smith, and this will hurt him, is his ball security. He runs with the ball very loosely. He doesn't have full control of it. It looks like when he's running very quick. Maybe he's running too fast for himself. I don't know. But I do love what he can do. He's going to be someone people aren't going to be paying attention to, but also someone look at that combine and pro day when he shows off that speed and shows his quick cuts, during that in front of these coaches as well. He's going to rise up those draft boards. He could sneak into day 2. He's probably going to be a day 3 guy for sure, but definitely an athlete that you're going to see come into that slot position and just feast when he gets the ball in his hands.
People forget, like, and I got to interview him in Mobile for the Senior Bowl. Like, this guy had a major injury, had to learn how to run again, right? And you don't even notice that in the field this year. The speed was back. He was good to go. Another thing I love about him, veteran kid. He was like, a 50-year guy. Loves special teams, loves it, and that will get him on the field earlier than other guys that are later round picks, because he has no problem, getting out there, being a gunner, being a return guy, whatever you need. This kid's got it, and I love his juice, dude. I'm all about Anaya Smith.
Not comparing him or anything, but you brought up the special teams that it's like, man, he can possibly go out there and be the next thing of what we saw in Devin Hester, just with his ability to score. He knows how to find those gaps on the run, not necessarily like being patient and finding the vision. He when he's running, he sees like, oh, I'm about to make this cut here, right? He thinks ahead, and that's gonna do well for him at that next level, I think.
We've seen guys carve niches out. Hester, he played wide receiver, but the Hall of Fame being a returner. Dante Hall, like, that's what that dude was. They tried to make him a receiver. No. He was a kick returner, and that dude got it done. I mean, and Anaya Smith, I think he will have some wide receiver, years in him, but I think that he could be a special teams guy, like, an electric special teams guy for a long time.
And those are some rookies to think about. Now, rookie values, they fluctuate daily, and that leads us to our next segment, the stock exchange. Nino, you're up first. Who's your guy?
All right, you said it goes up and down daily, and just recently, the reason why my stock on Raheem Rocket Sanders is up is because they just brought in Sean Elliott. Okay, returns home, South Carolina. When he was there with Spurrier, run the ball, just run the ball. I mean, Mike Davis got 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns, right? And then he almost got 1,000 yards the following year. When he was there on the Elliott. I mean, he's coming over from Georgia State. He gave up a head coaching job to be, an OC. He's taking a coordinator's position here. And I just think the rumor is he's down weight, right? He was injured last year, lingering. It was a knee injury, I think he had. Sanders, he was a little overweight at 245. I already heard he's down to 237. So that's huge for me. I love that he's into it. Like, Loggins is over there, right? There's a connection to Arkansas. Last year he brought in Trey Knox. So like, there's a lot of things that are lining up good for him. But the best thing that he came over and South Carolina addressed, they hit the portal and they went out and got guys up front and playmakers. And I think with everything going on, with Elliott coming in, Rocket Sanders losing the weight, seems to be healthy. We're about to see one of those years again where you're going to get 1,410 yards out of him like we had the previous season with the Razorbacks when he broke out. He's a physical guy, right? So you give him a lane. He going to run it. There's an arm in the way. That ain't going to happen. He ain't going to tackle him that way. He going to run through it. I think everything they set up over here and the way they're trying to run this game with a rookie mobile quarterback, what do you want to do with a rookie mobile quarterback? You don't want to establish the ground game early. That way he feels comfortable. Give me all Rocket Raheem. I'm all for it.
Yeah, his stock needs to be up. He chose to go back and he needs to showcase, look, I am a true RB1 in this league, in the SEC specifically too, because you have some guys going in there, right? I mean, you had Quinshawn leaving, but you do have Trevor Etienne that he has to worry about, going into Georgia and what he can do at that next level, taking that full workload. So I think that's a great choice for him, especially being now that he has a running coach or a coach that is willing to run as much as he needs it to be. And I think his price is now higher than what it was as soon as he transferred.
And then SC, who is your stock exchange guy?
Man, so it goes up, it goes down, right? So I'm gonna go down and I'm gonna say quarterback Cade Klubnik. Man, what happened to him? right? I just think like with the way the transfer portal is going, like I was really expecting him to be like, all right, I'm out, and he chose to stay there at Clemson, and it didn't do him any justice. We saw what it did with DJU when he went to Oregon State, right? He went out, he did something great, and now he came back, so I'm very concerned about what he can do. It seems like this season he kind of lost that fluidity that I saw his first freshman year there, where he just looked very comfortable and confined and focused in the pocket. This season I saw a lot of bad decision making, and the team didn't get better in my eyes. So for me, he stuck down. He was up there as a QB2 for me in this class, and now I have him all the way down to QB11 right now. So
I'm a Cade guy. I'm gonna put that partially out of the way. But what happened to him last year? Dabo didn't allow the star from Mario to be grabbed from Cade Klubnik. They brought in the Mario star with Garrett Riley. And Dabo said, you go sit in the corner, homie. This is my school. This is the way I run it. I do it my way. I don't give a shit about your up-tempo 80 plays per game that you came over here from TCU that I saw that worked. Got you guys the national champ? Nope. It's going to be mine. What happened? It didn't work. There was injury. The fact that week 6, okay, Dabo calls a play with 3 minutes to go, and they're close to the red zone, and Klubnik goes, Nah, I'm not running that damn play, bro. Runs his own play, which fell apart and just ended up running off to the sideline out of bounds, right? Got ripped, but you saw there was a disconnect, bro. There was a disconnect between Klubnik and Riley and Dabo. Like what Riley and Klubnik had practiced all week and what Dabo was wanting them to call was not the same thing. I think this year you're already starting to see in this offseason, Dabo's already kind of backpedaling, right? Already talking about this. That they pursued a guy in the portal heavily for the first time in 7 years, like because he doesn't believe in it. So they let Garrett Riley run the scheme, and Klubnik would be back to in a top 5 ranking. 11's rough. That's a far drop for me, especially in that class. But I understand why from what you're seeing. You also had a lot of injuries. His wide receivers were like in and out, back and forth. And Agent Zero and Tony Williams missed like half the season, right? That's why you seen the emergence of Brown. Where was the tight end, right? Brenningstool, he was supposed to be a top 10 tight end in the class. He disappeared, ghost. There was a lot of questions. And that defense didn't step up until the second half of the season. In the second half of the season, they were lights out. I blame Dabo. I mean, but Cade's got to eat a lot of it on his own. But I'm going to tell you something. Dabo ain't got much time left. Just like Nick didn't have much time. Nick went out on his own. Dabo don't decide to let Garrett Riley take over the reins of this offense. They're going to force Dabo out.
Something has to change at Clemson. They brought in 2 high-profile recruits at wide receiver and TJ Moore and Bryant Wesco, 2 very talented guys. If they don't change that system, someone's got to go, and that's got to be the head coach. So that was a great episode, guys. SC, where can people find your work?
Excuse me, I had to sneeze almost there. Yeah, man. So at the Fantasy Football Universe, we got some rookie content coming out there right now, dropping every day, just a different rookie profile there. I do have some work on RPO, and then with y'all doing this show now, Future Phenoms, tracking these football rising stars, and then let's just say March 5th, me and CFB Nation got something big cooking up.
Quack quack.
There you go.
And then Nino, where can people find your work at, man?
CFB Nation, that's my home. I dribble and dabble here and there. I do Dynasty Degens with my guy Nerd Boy Mike. I also, do League Winners. Future Phenoms. Dropped a couple articles. I got my my 3rd article dropping on Ricky Hunt, running back out of Ohio. I think he's going to be the next Max sensation. I believe Thomas said that comes out tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. But League Winners, CFB Nation, Dynasty Degens. That's where I'm at.
And then follow these guys. Follow SC at the PPR show. Follow Nino Brown at _ Nino Brown __. Now we'll be back next week, but before we go, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and if you're listening on Spotify and Apple, give us a rate and review. And we'll see you next time on Future Phenoms.